Good evening. We are live tonight from the K&K Sports Show. We have our usual suspects on, Mr. Carson and Mr. Joey Clams. Unfortunately, Kenny's sick tonight. He will not be on the show. And Mr. Valenti has been having some heating problems, so he has the heating people over his house. Mr. Carson, how are you?
I'm doing good, sis. I'm ready to go. Had a great time talking with you guys last night about the Super Bowl. We're going to get Joey's thoughts on the game coming up shortly, but I'm ready to go. And, I'm ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. Mr. Joey Clams, how are you?
Hey, Spider, on your way over, bring me a cutty and water. How you doing? I'm doing good. Had a good night of college baskets last night. We were having a good week. And Sunday, I had Scotty Scheffler 24-1 to win it all at the Waste Management out in Arizona. I missed the first 5 minutes of the Super Bowl because we went into triple overtime with that, and we took it home. We took home the outright winner, 24-1. How you doing?
Excellent. You're going to start tonight, right? Mr. Clams, with Mr. Shear. And you're going to talk a little bit to him about Mr. Stafford winning the Super Bowl and the Rams winning the Super Bowl. So take the floor and be my guest and fire away.
Hold on, Kenny. It was a terrible played game, I thought. And I thought McVay did a terrible job play calling. He's a terrible play caller. And Cincinnati had a chance to win after getting sacked 7, 8, 9 times. They still had a chance to win. And Stafford was throwing. He made some bad throws. And I thought Aaron Donald should have been the MVP. But I found out they picked the MVP 2 minutes at the 2-minute warning. Cincinnati's really, really got to fix that offensive line because this kid Burrows looked bad. He looked like he was hurt. He looked like he couldn't even move in the second half. They got to do something else. It's going to be one and done for them.
Mr. Carson.
I don't know what you think. I don't know what you think about the game. I thought the game wasn't that good of a game. It was poorly played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously, I'm happy for the Rams, for my boy Stafford. Growing up watching him for a dozen plus years of my life, so I was happy to see that he finally got the recognition and the credit that he deserves. So shout out to the Rams for winning the game. I'm kind of with Joey. It was a little bit of a sloppy game. Nothing kind of too crazy caught my eye until like the last couple minutes of the game where Stafford went down and got the game-winning touchdown. And I know there's a bunch of controversy about the refs, about them, throwing those flags late in the game. But again, like Joey said, the Bengals still had a minute and 25 seconds left to go down the field, and they still had a chance to win that game, but they could not capitalize. But, like Joey said as well, Joe Burrow, I think he's going to be a great quarterback for years to come. That really was his first year in the NFL because he got hurt last year. So it was kind of his first coming out party as quarterback of the Bengals. But, yeah, I couldn't agree more. They need to build that offensive line. They've got the offensive weapons with Chase, Boyd, and Higgins and Mixon. And I think if you, either in this year's draft or trade a few picks to get a really good offensive tackle, I think they could easily make some damage in the AFC again this year.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, you know what it is, too. The AFC, if you look at it, look who's in the AFC you got that didn't even make a statement yet is Herbert. He's going to get ready to get into the playoffs. You always got Mahomes there. You got Allen up in Buffalo. You got Baltimore is going to be coming back. The AFC is going to be tough. It's Marino his second year there. Marino got to the Super Bowl. He thought I'll be back here a few more times on winning. He never got back again. So it's tough when you get there. You got to take advantage of it. And then the Rams did the right thing. What they did, it was worth it for them. The Rams went out and they went all in and they got it done because you don't listen. I'm waiting 53 years, 54 years for a Super Bowl. And Carson, you're waiting 22 years.
Yeah.
But you know what? You don't know when you could get there. And about the referees, I mean, for 59 minutes, you were nowhere to be found. And then the last minute of the game, you want to get involved. and you want to start throwing flags around. I mean, come on,
Mhm.
play. Either put the whistle away or call it the right way.
That's what I was going to bring up, what you just nailed on the head. You didn't throw hardly any flags the entire game, and then the last 2 minutes, you're throwing flags all over the place. Again, taking nothing away from the Rams defense. We talked a little bit about it last night. Excuse me. When Donald came in and sacked Burrow, Chase was wide open down the right sideline because what's his name? The defensive back, he fell down. And if you look at the tape, and again, it's not an excuse, it's part of the game. Donald's head was lined up off sides on that particular play. My own take on the Super Bowl, I thought it was a little boring because obviously we watched the Kansas City Chief game and we all got spoiled with that, and we all pretty much agreed last week or the week after that was basically what the Super Bowl really was. Now, coming into this draft, some of these teams are going to be, sitting on the fence debating, should I take a quarterback? Shouldn't I take a quarterback? Should I take the best linebacker? And I've always said this, and I'm going to go to Carson next.
Mhm.
A team should draft need, what you need, not who's ever on that board. If you need a linebacker, take a linebacker. If you need a tight end, take a tight end. But
Mhm.
for some reason, it always doesn't seem to work out that way. And I will blow my stack if the New York Giants don't take, with those 2 picks, an offensive lineman with the 5th pick, and then take a defensive lineman with the 7. Carson?
Yeah, I completely agree. You got to go with what the team needs most. I think I saw a mock draft of the Lions taking a safety, Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, he's a good safety, but I remember another safety that we took a few years ago in Jeff Okuda, and that didn't really pan out. You got to look at these guys and say, okay, who fits best with our roster? Don't care about, the talent-wise. Talent will come at a time, but we need to get the best guy for this fill position to succeed in the future. So again, same with the Lions. I think it's going to be an edge rusher. Our defense is terrible, and that's how you build in the trenches. That's you see all these guys. They talk about safeties, but how do these guys get interceptions by the defensive linemen's rushing the quarterback? You don't really see too many quarterbacks throw wide open, protected interceptions. So you got to get to the quarterback. I think that's who the Lions should take. And like Sis just said, it doesn't matter what team you are, what you have, you got to go with your best fit rather than who the highest prospect is.
Joey, your feelings on this?
Yeah, you always got to go with need, especially when you're in the top 10 picks. If you're down the end of the line, say if you're the Ram, well, they don't have a pick safe. You're the 30th, 31st pick. You take a need or you take the best available player. But when you're picking in the top 10, that means you stink. That means you've been stinking for years. So you got to build. That means you're building like the Lions are building. The Jets are building. The Jets haven't had a pass rusher since, forget about it. Oh my God, what was his name? They had that went to the Falcons all those years. He was with the Jets. I forget his name off the top of my head. But the Jets need a pass rusher. The Lions need a pass rusher. You got to build. Bill Walsh always says you build up front with the defensive and the offensive line. He says, I picked wide receivers.
Was it you talking about Gastineau?
No, I'm talking about Abrams.
Remember Abrams. Okay.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and he went to the Falcons. But Bill Walsh always said, and Bill Parcells, and they says you build up front, you protect the quarterback, and you go get the quarterback. That's how you win the game. And Bill Walsh says we don't look at wide receivers to the end of the draft. So
Joey, I want to ask you this question. We talked about it last night, and I think it's a pretty good discussion question. Now, obviously, the Rams, they sold the farm to win the Super Bowl. In your opinion, are there a few teams that can sell the farm and do what the Rams did this year? And do you see any teams moving forward that can do it next year? And if so, what team? Teams, or whatever.
To go out and win.
No, to go out and sell the farm just to win a Super Bowl. That's my question.
Well, I could see the Broncos doing that.
Okay.
I could see the Broncos doing that. Let's go down the line in the AFC. The Bills are set. The Bills got to fix up a few things, a few kinks. Baltimore Ravens, they just got to, they were unhealthy last year. That's a team that's going to be reckoned with. They got a quarterback who was an MVP. They should be all right. The Steelers are looking for a quarterback. They got weapons on the offense. I don't know. The Steelers, I don't think will do anything like that. That's not in their MO. They built from the draft, and they draft good. And when you get long in the tooth with them, you'll never get a second contract. I think maybe Tampa Bay might do it again. I don't know. I don't see the team out there like that. Maybe just the Broncos. I'm thinking right now. Yeah.
Carson, do you, let's put the Rams aside because they won the Super Bowl and we all know, excuse me, how they went about it. But as a sports guy, do you believe in building a team through the drafts and free agent picks, or what? What do you think?
Well, I think kind of an example this year was what you saw with the Cincinnati Bengals. All of the guys that they have on offense, they pretty much built through the draft. Yeah, they went out and signed a few signings like Eli Apple on the defensive side, that defensive tackle, I forgot his name, but you can see, again, it's all ownership, GM. I've had to suffer with the Fords for my entire life being a Lions fan. So, if I had the opportunity to go out and take a shot, risk a few draft picks to possibly make a run in the playoffs, I'm all for it. But if you got an up-and-coming team, and I think the Bengals made a great, statement and inspiration to many other GMs and teams out there. They didn't have to give up too much. They built through the draft of the past couple of years, getting Burrow, getting Chase. And they made a deep run. They got all the way to the Super Bowl. So I think it depends on the team of how much they want to give up. What have they already had in the past? Joey mentioned a great point with the Broncos. Nobody knows what Rodgers is going to do in the offseason yet. He might stay with the Packers or he might leave. And I think if you're the Broncos, you got the offensive talent around you. You see what happened, what they did with Peyton Manning a few years back, and it paid off. So if you want to go out and get a guy like Aaron Rodgers and sacrifice a few picks for the future, I think that's what you have to do, because everybody wants to win a Super Bowl, and that's the ultimate goal. So if you have to make some sacrifices to get it done, I have no problem with that.
Hey, sis, I want to just piggyback on that question again. The only teams that I would see to do that is if they're ready to win and need a quarterback, or they need a big defensive player like an edge rusher, a big guy that changes the game. That's where you might see it. It definitely with a quarterback is at the top of the list, and a game changer on the defense. That's where I would see where somebody's ready to make a move like that. So you got to really look up and down the teams who are really going to try to do something like that.
Back to you, Joe. Same question I asked Carson. Do you believe building longevity, I guess, is the best word to use? Do you believe in building through the draft like the Steelers did and the 49ers did and all these teams? I mean, it's a while back. I understand that. But do you still believe in the old school way of really building?
Yeah, it depends on the situation and who the team is,
Okay.
Like just say, for example, the Chicago Bears. They got to rebuild now. They got some studs on defense, but they got a young quarterback. They got to build. They're in a rebuilding. They got a new coach. They got to build around that kid and teach him the game. That hopefully they could do that. I believe in free agency. Not too much. I believe in the draft, but you got to be smart. Sometimes you'll see draft picks you draft. You'll never see them on the field or never even see them again. But I believe in them. I believe in both. I believe in free agency and building through the draft. It depends on the situation, where you are as a team.
Okay.
Are
Carson.
you at the bottom? Are you at the middle of the pack? Or
Mhm.
you right there? Like, are you a team like Buffalo? They're they're a couple of players away. They're right there. They're just a couple of plays away from being elite.
Mhm.
Carson, why do these teams like the Lions and the Bears, excuse me, the Jets, I'm going to throw the Vikings in there too. Why does it seem like year after year these teams are, they're not even 500? Like,
And
what
again,
do
I
you?
think it goes back to ownership. It's I
Okay.
don't understand why. As a fan, I will never understand why.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to win more than the players, and let alone the fans. And like you said, with the case with the Jets and the Lions and all these other mediocre below 500 teams, if the Bengals can go from one of the worst teams in the NFL to the Super Bowl in a quick time span, why can't anybody else do it? And I think it goes back to good ownership, good coaching, and it all starts with the front office. If you don't have a good front office, it's just going to be in a world of heap for years to come. So the Lions are making moves, with our ownership right now. But I mean, I think the Bengals like I said, made a good statement to all these other teams like the Jets, the Lions, all these other different teams, and say, hey, we can go out and do this. You just got to believe in your players and your coaching staff and go out and get it done.
I almost had a sneeze. Carson, what I wanted to ask you, do you think, for example, like the Jets going out and paying this rookie, like, tons of millions of dollars, does that hurt them from maybe getting a better defensive lineman or an offensive, or a better running back? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think, you got to have some balance. And I think a lot of these guys and a lot of these guys' contracts, it gets in the other teammates' heads. Like if I was on a team and my one of my friends was making a hell of a lot more than I was, it could cause a little controversy on the field. But like if
Little
he's getting
friction.
paid
I
way
agree.
more than I am, why should I try as hard? But if you got like a good balance, and you gotta, put your money where your mouth is. If these guys that are getting these crazy contracts, they better be delivering every single week, because if they aren't, then it just causes a whole lack of chemistry. But again, it's I think you build within the trenches. I think defense plays a big part. You see why the Rams won this year. They went out and they got the pieces on defense, and that was a huge part of their success. So I think, yes, it does. I think big contracts, especially if the player isn't performing and living up to their expectations, it can cause a lot of problems.
Sis, it's Kirk. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, real quick. What's up, guys? Thank you guys for taking over the show tonight. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a second just to read some comments. There's a bunch of comments coming in. I just want to read them real quick. David Slade saying, hello, everyone. Dan Worley, hey, guys. Big Ben got their second season and won. Got there a couple more times. Joey Clams, you're getting a little love fest here from a Brant Sullivan. Clams, let's go. A Michael Lopercaro. Joey Clams, best handicapper in all of New York. Hello.
Hello. That's the Joey Clams' army. That's it, baby. Let's go.
Kenny's checking in. What's up, boys? Have a great show. Michael's also saying no one else had Utah Valley on the money line last night. He's the best.
Hello.
Brant was saying, I agree, Mikey Bass, saying Clams is the best in the business. Then a Gennaro Basquiano, guy's a walking lock. He's calling you a walking lock.
No locks, buddy. That's the Joey Clams army. Stay in the woods. Get ready. Load up.
And last
Get
comment.
ready to fly.
And last comment is Kenny saying, you guys are doing a great job, Kurt and Kenny who. So that's what Kenny's comment. I just wanted to get those comments in. I just got to shut up the mic now, but thank you guys. Appreciate it. If I get more comments, I'll step back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big shout out to the Joey Clams army out there. There you go, boys. There you go.
We're going back to Mr. Clams now. This is the last football thing. The questions I just asked Carson. Do you think, for example, like the Jets giving this kid all this cash and like your needs are, again, a lineman or a linebacker, defensive tackle? How do you feel about that?
Well, you need a quarterback. They haven't had a quarterback in a long time, and it starts with like with Carson was saying. It starts with ownership. You look around, the Jets are going. This is how many years is this? How many every 2 years you're getting a different coach. The
Correct.
Steelers, since I've been a baby, I'm 56 years old. This is their third. They only got 3 coaches. You need stability. It starts with the ownership. You got to get the right football people involved. And about I have no problem giving Zach Wilson that money. They got a lot of draft picks. They picked number 4. I think they pick 8, and they got a lot of picks coming up. Load up on your picks. If you want to they got to go get a lineman. If you could get the lineman at 4, the defensive end, the rusher, you could go trade that 7 pick and load up and build, because they got a lot of needs, and you got to protect that. You got to protect that kid. They're in the. I don't know if the coach is the right guy, because I'm not a big fan of hiring coordinators. I like to have a retread guy, the guy that's been in there, knows how to manage a football game. All you got now is coaches. You don't have head coaches. These guys are relying on the assistants from the booth, giving them calls. It happened in the Tampa Bay Rams game with Bowles and Arians. Oh, we have miscommunications. You're the head football coach. You call the play. They don't call plays no more. The analytics has snuck into football, and it's starting to change. You could see that there's only a handful of real head coaches left.
Joey Clams, being that this is your expertise here, we're going to switch over to basketball. Tonight's college basketball. What do you have anything on tap for tonight for the folks out here?
You got Creighton. Creighton is coming on late tonight. Creighton +2 against DePaul.
Do you have a pick in the Michigan game?
No, I'm staying away from that game. That's a shaky game. Iowa will score a lot of points, but Michigan is they're unreliable this year. I don't trust them.
The UCLA game.
The UCLA is at what's the spread in that game? Does anybody know?
I don't have that in front of me.
9.5.
They're playing like 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, that's would I like it? I don't like anything in that game yet. I'm gonna wait. UCLA, they've been playing it kind of funny lately the last couple of games. I don't know if they're fully healthy yet, but I'm gonna wait. But I do like Oregon tonight. I like the Ducks. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Carson, take over.
Just a quick question to Joey. I'm looking at this Oregon State Arizona game. Oregon State's one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. They're on the road at Arizona. The line is -24. Is that too many points, Joey? Yes or no?
Yeah, you know why that's too many points? Arizona's got a big game coming up this weekend against the Ducks. So when they're up by 28-29 with like 6 minutes to go, they're going to call the dogs off, put the reserves in because they got a big game over the weekend. Or are they looking ahead, knowing they got a big conference game coming up against Oregon? If I had to bet the game, I would take the dog. I think it's too many points.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I guess we can transition a little bit into Saturday's games. I know it's hard because the lines aren't out yet. I'll go to a simple one in the Big Ten. We got Illinois fighting Illini going against my Michigan State Spartans. This game's at noon. ESPN. Illinois is number 12. Michigan State's number 19. They're both 18-7. Do you have a favorite in this one, Joey?
Where's the game being played?
Say it again.
Where is it being played?
Home, East Lansing, Michigan.
That means that'd be like a 3-point. Illinois should be a 3-point favorite or something like that. I'm gonna go with Illinois. I'm gonna go with the big man and the better guard. I'm gonna go with Illinois.
Yeah, it's gonna be a close one. State has not been living up to my expectations. We blew a 14-point lead to Penn State the other day, so I wasn't too happy about that. But I think
they turned the ball over too much.
Yeah. Turn the ball over. They're having issues rebounding the ball. It's just got to get those guys together for sure. Definitely. What do you think, Sis? Do you have a favorite in this one, Illinois State for Saturday?
I think you pretty much hit it on the head. Illinois probably will bounce back. Now, my question to you two is this: is Baylor and Purdue, are they overrated right now at this stage of the season? Carson, what do you think? And then we'll go to Joey Clams.
I
Baylor
don't,
and Purdue. Mhm.
I don't
Are
know
they-
how I feel about Purdue. They're in the top 5 right now, and they almost lost to Maryland a few days ago. So
Exactly.
again, I think they're the leader in the Big Ten right now. I like their roster. I think Matt Painter's doing a great job with his guys this year. So I think top 5 is a little bit of a stretch. I would put them top 10 for sure. I think Baylor's kind of right in that same boat. They're number 7 right now. They're 21-5. They're leading the way in the Big 12 along with Kansas. So I think those teams, Purdue a little bit on the higher side, but I think Baylor's kind of right where they should be.
Joey Clams.
I think Purdue is a really, really, really good team.
Okay.
They always have a problem, once they get to the tournament. But I think this year they got a shot to get to the Final Four. I think they'll be easily get to the Sweet 16. And I think Baylor's a little banged up, and they look like they're missing something. They look a little sloppy to me, Baylor. I don't think they're as good as I don't think they're going to make it this year. I don't think they'll get to the Sweet 16 or to the 8. I don't think they're that good this year. They look a little inconsistent to me.
Joey Clams, is Illinois a sleeper this year?
Nah, they're not a sleeper. Everybody knows about them. You're not asleep. When you awoke, you're not asleep.
Well, they were number 18.
Well, that's
Couple of weeks ago.
There's 12 teams out there that probably could win this whole thing. There's 12 teams out there that could win this whole thing. It's wide open this year.
Same question. Is Illinois a sleeper?
I think they could be overlooked this year in March Madness. I think right now they're leading the Big Ten along with Purdue. I think if they kind of start to slip, I would definitely watch out for them, especially with what we mentioned earlier, that Kofi Coburn guy. He's really good. This year, they got some elite guards on that team, and Brad Underwood did a great job turning that program around as well in a quick time span. So I would say yes. Yeah.
Can I piggyback?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to let everybody know around this time in college basketball, like this is like the middle to, and this is like the down the stretch of their season. It's always peaks and valleys. There's somebody who was good is gonna go on a losing streak. Now he's gonna get a team that's hot. This is about the time where things start to crumble up, and then like a team that's not doing too good, they'll come back to the pack. So don't get nervous. This is the time where always around Valentine's Day, the middle of February, where you see some peaks and valleys. You'll see a team go on a 3-game losing streak that was ranked in the top 10, top 15. Or you'll see a team go on a 6-game winning streak. This is where you'll see different things happening, and that's what makes it so exciting when March comes and you get all those upsets because you don't know what's going on. But we'll see what happens.
Joey, is Penn State playing over their head this year?
No, you know what? Penn State is really good at home. Penn State they are dominant at home, and that's a hard place to play at home. They're not playing on the road. They're a different story, but at home, they're really good.
Carson, same question.
Yes and no. Again, it's hard for me to speak because we just lost to them the other day. But yeah, I think they got some promise. I think there was a stat where they the 7 games they've lost by less than 5 points. So they compete with teams. I think they're a solid team. I don't think they'll make the tournament this year, but they will. They definitely have some upside later down the road.
Carson, in your professional opinion again, now, what do you think it is with Rutgers? Are these teams going in there and saying, well, it's only Rutgers? I mean, look at the teams they're beating.
Rutgers is a team that you want to talk about sleepers. Rutgers is a team that can do some serious damage in March. I forgot who they played last year, but they gave up a big lead to go to the Sweet 16, and they choked. Houston, yeah. So I would definitely
the alley-oop pass.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was brutal for Rutgers. But again, I think they're looking for revenge this year. Like you just said, Sis, they've knocked off like 4 top 25 teams in the last 2 weeks. So I would definitely would not be surprised if they are ranked sometime next week, especially the way they're playing right now. And again, I know Coach Breslin, he's happy with his Rutgers right now. So that is a team to be looked out for, and I would not want to play them the first or second round in March.
Joey, what do you contribute as Rutgers team with this amazing turnaround? They're like Carson just said, they're not beating St. Mary's. I mean, they're beating some teams.
They, you know what it is too. They really, when they're at their rack, boy, that place is rocking, and they get into it with the crowd. The coach is really good, and he's recruiting.
He's recruiting,
and you know what? He's recruiting. Okay. He's recruiting really good players, and and Rutgers is going to be a team to be reckoned with in the Big Ten in the next couple of years. You know, starting right now.
So that's a tough team. You're attributed to, and I agree with you. Obviously, the last 2 years they've been recruiting some really good players.
Yeah,
I agree. Back to Carson.
Yeah, I'm looking at two more games that might be of interest. You know, it's Saturday, you got an in-state rivalry matchup, Texas Tech, number 11, taking on Texas 20. Again, there's no line for this. Texas is at home, though. This game's at 12:30. Joey, what do you think about this game?
This is a revenge. Yeah, this is, Texas Tech blew their doors off the last time they played. This is going to be a revenge match for the Longhorns. I think Texas is going to be a live home dog, even though Texas Tech is, they won last night. They came back in the second half and rolled. I could see Texas winning this game. It's at home, and you know what happens at home with these short underdog these home dogs at home against a ranked team. It's a recipe for a win for Texas.
Sis, what do you think?
The eyes of Texas are upon you.
Yeah, I agree with Joey just said. Yeah, it's that's going to be some game. That's going to be a dynamite game. Carson, let me ask you this question: who got the better end of the deal, the Nets or the Philadelphia 76ers?
Boy, that is it's a tough question because we're going to have to wait and see what happens. What I'm really wanting to see is Brooklyn and Philly in the playoffs, because I want to see the reaction when Ben Simmons returns to Philly. I think they actually square off in about a week, 2 weeks or so. So I'm going to be waiting to see that game. But I think both teams, they got great pieces to the puzzle. You know, you look at the Nets, they got rid of James Harden, and they acquired Seth Curry, Drummond, and Ben Simmons, of course. So I think that team's going to be a force to reckon with in the East. We're going to see what happens with them. And then I think the same thing with the Sixers, I think that was part of the problem with the Brooklyn Nets is there was way too many ball handlers on that team with KD, Kyrie, and Harden. Now you got Harden kind of running the show in Philly alongside Embiid and Tobias. I still think I think the Nets won the trade, but I don't think the Sixers, I don't think you could say that they gave up way too much either. James Harden's a top 5 player in the league right now as well.
Mr. Clams, your feelings.
If James Harden gets healthy and he gets it's a basketball shape for the next 2 months, I think the 76ers could come out of the East.
Mr. Clams, the Knicks had a pretty good season last year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you think is wrong in New York now with the Knicks? Is it the coach? Is it Tibbs?
Well, you know what? Here's where the problem is. They don't have a superstar. You know what? You can't win in the NBA without a superstar. Who's their superstar? They don't have one. There's teams with 2, 3. They don't have one. They got good players. And what it is with him? He relies too much on his veterans. He doesn't use his young players too long. So you're getting you're draining the blood out of these starters. And you know what? They're not good. There's no go-to guy on the team. Who's your go-to guy? And if you do have one, you see what the Hawks did last year. They double teamed them, and they had nobody else to handle the ball. So they don't. Listen, in the NBA, you need a superstar. You don't have a superstar, you're not going nowhere. Case closed.
Does the coach go? Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
He shouldn't go either.
Okay. Carson?
Yeah, just to kind of add to that, I think one of the bigger disappointments with the Knicks this year is Kemba Walker. What happened to him? I think there was a lot of hype surrounding Kemba Walker going into this year. He had a great year with the Celtics. They gave up some pieces to acquire him in the offseason. And I don't know what happened to him. He is just not playing good basketball this year at all. He's actually a bench player right now for the Knicks. So, again, it might be coaching, but again, Randall has not played up to his performance like he did last year. And I think it's a little bit of everything with the Knicks going on right now. But one of the teams that they should have done better this year, but again, they're not even in the play-in game right now.
We're going to switch back to football. We're going to start with Joey again. Joey, is Jerry Jones the reason why the Cowboys cannot win a Super Bowl? In other words, is he too involved? He's getting press conferences before the head coach does. But go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say yes and no with him. I mean, he wants to win. Listen. They draft good. They got the talents on the field, but he wants a puppet as a head coach. And look what happens. You had the Clapper, you had Garrett, and then you got this balloon head that looks so. All he does is look at the jumbotron and see what happens. He's not a head coach, McCarthy. Jerry Jones has to step away. Move to the side, get a football person there, and let a head coach run this team. And I think that's what he's going to do next year, probably get Sean Payton to run the Cowboys as their head coach. And you got to keep his 2 cents out of it if he wants to win. It's been a long time. He's going how many years now without winning? Going 27, 30 years, right?
It's over a 25-year period.
Yeah, you won 2 playoff games. That's it.
Right.
Since that time. So
Carson?
maybe, you know what? Maybe you're not doing something right.
Yep. Carson.
Yeah, I think he definitely has some kind of, we were talking about, ownership. All these great teams, they've got great owners and good front offices. And I think Jerry Jones, I think he took over in '89. I think he took over in 1989. You saw the Cowboys, they've had a few championships with him, but it hasn't been since the late '90s. So I think Jerry Jones, he's obviously he's getting up in the old age, and I think now he might be looking to turn to somebody else to take care of his team for him. So you've seen what they've done. Like the last 5 to 10 years, they've either made the playoffs and choked in the first round, or didn't even get to the playoffs at all. It's a joke that this is the so-called America's team of the country when they haven't done much in recent history.
Joey Clams, I know you're on the same page with this one, but I just still want your perspective on it. Is Jerry Jones being fair to McCartney, what he's doing? Being that he's got Quinn in the background, in other words, that's my question.
Yeah, like you're a coach and you're a lame duck already. Like I wouldn't want the job then. Here, take it. Here, I'll leave now. That's what if I'm McCarthy, that's what I would do. I'll leave now. I don't want. You already. That was like going. I hate to get off the football, but that was like going back in the late '70s with the Yankees. Billy Martin resigned, and then on old timers day, 4 days later, they announced he's going to be the new manager in 1980. Meanwhile, you just hired, you just got Lemon there. And now you're a lame duck coach.
Right.
Crazy.
So basically what you're saying tonight, and I agree with you 100%, this McCartney guy from not in camp and everything, but when the fireworks start, he's going to be looking over his shoulder every week because week 1, 2, 3, or 4, he could be gone and Quinn could be in.
As soon as they lose one game, and he blows it with a timeout and clock management, you're there, and everybody knows him. They know
that it's good night, Irene.
You're going to hear it all week long until the next game.
Carson, your feelings?
Yeah, you see what the issues he had with when he left Green Bay. There's a reason why the Packers kind of kicked him to the curb, and the Cowboys picked him up. And you kind of question his play calls against the 49ers in that first playoff game, especially with the whole Prescott last play of the game where he slid in the middle of the field. You wonder what was going through their minds at that point. But again, I think it's hard to say because it's his first year. I know they took him to the playoffs, but again, it's I think you give him maybe a year, 2 years down the line, see what he can do. I think there's a lot of talent on that team, but again, I can't stand the Cowboys as it is. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the near future.
He's got to go. He's got to go. He's terrible. He's terrible.
Carson, with the same thing on football, with all these millionaire players, okay? Do you think that there's any real respect for the head coaches in this league? Do these players respect the head coaches, or are they just going along with it? And, in other words, without me, you could never win, and this type of stuff. What do you think about that?
It's hard to say. And again, I think I kind of mentioned this earlier. You don't want too many players getting outpaid versus the teammates, because if they don't perform up to their contract expectations, it can cause a lot of chemistry between the coach, between your teammates, and it could contribute to why you had either a winning or a losing season. So I think, obviously the coach should be respected first and foremost, and the ownership and the players should, they go to work and they do their job. They get paid a salary just like everybody else. I think it's a lot of money. Yes, I do. I don't believe any athlete should be paid hundreds of millions of dollars. I know it's, you get the entertainment aspect out of it, but again, they're human. They make mistakes, and, I think they are being a little bit overpaid, and I think sometimes it can go to their heads. You saw what happened recently in the past couple months with these athletes getting out of control and letting the money get to their heads, and they can have off-field issues.
Well, like you said before, and I agree with you 1,000%, you have to blame the owners, right out of the gate. And the sad part about it is, I was fortunate enough when my guys were little to be able to take them to the Jet game, Giant game, or whatever, Yankee Stadium, Met games, whatever. These poor fathers nowadays, with the price of everything, a regular working guy, it's all on a corporate now. If you're a regular working guy, you can't afford to spend $500 on a weekend to go to a sporting event. So your only other option is to watch the television, and could you imagine a kid saying to his father, "Can't you take me to the Giant game?" And the father says to him, "Boy, I'd love to, but I can't afford it." Think about it. That's pretty sad in my eyes. It really is,
Yeah, I agree 100% with what you said, and it's only going to get higher and higher and higher. You look at baseball, what they're paying these guys, just a ridiculous amount of money. But I think like you just made a great point. I remember going to the Lions games and the Tigers games, and we could find the cheapest tickets for $10-15 a seat. And now you can't find a ticket that's less than $50 a seat, and that's nosebleed. So again, that's, it's unfortunate that they're, because the money, they got to make the money back somehow, and unfortunately that's where it comes from, is ticket sales, and they gotta raise the price in order to pay these players. So, and it's only going to get higher and higher as the years go on.
Joey, your take?
You want me to answer about the coaches being respected?
Yeah, start with that, and the same thing with these prices.
I think a coach, number one, he's the boss, he's in charge. Show him the respect, but he's got to show the players respect, because when you're in that room and you're in that locker room with those 52, 54 players and the 20 other coaches, you're on a mission. You've got a job to do. You've got to be all in together. It's us, not them. Keep the dirty laundry inside the locker room. Don't go on social media and tell anybody our business. We all got to pull together. The respect goes both ways, but when you start disrespecting your players as you're a player, and you're disrespecting the uniform, the coach, and the organization, you do what Belichick does. You get sent to Cleveland.
Well, I think Carson nailed it again before. The key word is chemistry. And if you don't have team chemistry, and you do have a few players who are like, wow, they gave so and so, 15 million more than me, and and that seeps into it. Then you got a problem. And again, now you just brought up another great point too. With Belichick, you've seen it over the last few years. It doesn't matter who you are. You come in and think you're going to change his system, you're going to go out as fast as you came in. You know what I mean?
He's a gangster.
Yeah, yeah.
You listen. No, you're trying to mess us up here. You're gone.
No.
That's why he's lasted so long, and that's why he's got good credibility. You follow it like him and Brady might have not been on the same page, or they didn't hang out as much as people thought, think, or they talk too much off the field. But when Monday morning came and they went into film, they were on the same page. They had the same job. That's what you got to do. Just because you don't spend time with somebody off the field, you go your way, you're jumping a taxi going downtown, he's going uptown. But when you're on that field, you're in that locker room, he's got to be dug in 100% with each other if you want to be successful.
Carson, what makes Cooper Kupp the kind of player, in your opinion, that he is? What are some of this kid's traits that you could really see? Forget about just watching the Super Bowl, in the playoffs and everything. And I know what his attributes stood out to me as a former coach, but what is your take on that?
Yeah, it's crazy the year that he had. I know he was on a Super Bowl team with the Rams a few years ago, and they faced Brady and Belichick. Unfortunately, he was injured during that time frame. But again, he came back. Again, I hate to brag about my own guy Stafford, but Stafford definitely played a role into the season and the success that he had this year. I think he obviously, arguably, had one of the greatest receiving seasons ever. He won the Triple Crown in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. So yeah, that's something you can't really take away from him. He won the Super Bowl MVP, Offensive Player of the Year. And the accolades just get higher and higher. It's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. Can he continue the hype around this team and the Rams itself? But I think, he's a great route runner. He's quick. He's elusive. He can do pretty much anything. You saw what he did. He can run the ball. I think a really underrated attribute. You'll appreciate this as well as being a coach. He can block. I know a bunch of my friends who played football, they didn't like blocking much. It's the little things that makes the team do well and successful. But again, that was another big attribute that gets overlooked. He is a great blocker as well.
Yes. Joey, same question.
Yeah, what he just said about him blocking. The guy is determined. He's a team player. He practices hard. He's hard on himself, and he's a team player. And look when he's out there. He's giving his listen. He's going to get banged up along his career. You could see that coming. He leaves it out. He's a kamikaze out there. He leaves it out there, but he's determined. He's a great teammate, and he practices hard. You know what I'm saying? Practice to be perfect. No, be perfect, and when you practice, that's how you get better. Make sure your practice is perfect.
The way you practice basically is the way you play. Now, me, I wasn't. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a terrible practice player, but when the games came, I was a totally different animal because I don't know. I never high school and college. Like I didn't want to beat up people I know. I mean, I practiced, and the reason why, and again, I'm not bragging on myself. I'm bringing this up because when I was down in Maryland, I was 17 years old, and I was lazy as hell. And my coach came up to me one day. He goes, you're something else. He goes, today you came out here and you beat everybody up. Yesterday you were like a dog. You did nothing. And it always stuck with me as I got older and I went to Seton Hall and whatever. And he was right. He was right. He really he put me on the right track at 17 years old. I'm still in touch with the guy too. He's a really, really nice guy. This again, I'll ask both of you, this comparing Donald to LT, Jerry Rice to Cup on the I always watch the Get Up and not too much on Stephen A. Smith First Take once in a while, but you know, we're talking different eras here, okay? But in my opinion, okay, and again, it's just my opinion. Forget about Cup, Jerry, Jerry Rice and Darnold for a minute. Lawrence Taylor, okay? I got cut in 77. He got drafted by the Giants in 82. And I watched that kid play every single game that he ever played for the Giants with all the Super Bowls and everything. There's a guy that, you know, again, Paul Rosen knows this because he's like me. He's a diehard Giant fan. He literally changed the game of football. He literally would basically go out there and they would try to put three guys on him and block him. And I know he did the drugs and he did all this other stuff, but I mean, you can't take it away from him. He, in my opinion, is the best football player of all times. Joe, how do you feel about that?
Absolutely. LT was the best player I ever seen. I mean, just to ask Ron Jaworski. Ron Jaworski woke up in the middle of his night screaming. His wife said, "What's the matter?" She goes, "I just had a nightmare about Lawrence Taylor." They put a fullback on him, ran him over. They put the tight end, ran him over. Yeah. They put an offensive lineman and another lineman. He ran them both over. He destroyed you. He'll destroy you in coverage. He'll intercept the ball. He'll recover fumbles. He'll create turnovers. He was a beast. You put him on YouTube now, every play he was in, every play, and he made the people around him better. You see when the Giants used to tackle back then, there was 4, 5, 6 guys gang tackling. He made Carson was a great linebacker. He made Carson better. Mm-hmm. He made Carl Banks better. He made that front line better. He was Lawrence Taylor was the best football player I ever seen.
I think you just again you nailed it because you're very knowledgeable. He made Carson and Banks better, and I think they were good players. Don't get me wrong, but he rose the level of play up to those two particular.
He made their job easier, and he made their job like when they made a play is because too much
attention was being paid.
Attention was going to LT, and here comes Banks, and Banks was an animal.
Yes,
and Carson and Harry Carson was so smart.
Yeah, that's one of Carson's boys from Michigan State. Carson, I know you're a little bit younger than me and Joey Clams by a lot, but you from what you heard, from what is your take on Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah, obviously he was before my time, but I did get to learn more about him as I grew up. I'm looking at these accolades that he has. He's a Super Bowl champion. He won the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. He won the Rookie of the Year. I mean, there's a lot you can say about that guy, and I think the comparisons to Aaron Donald to Lawrence Taylor, again, they were 2 different positions. Lawrence Taylor was a linebacker, and Aaron Donald's a defensive end. So again, I think Aaron Donald, you could put him up there for possibly greatest defensive end of all time, but I think Lawrence Taylor, him being a linebacker in itself, a lot. And like you guys just said, I don't know much about him because it was before my time, but he changed the game of the NFL. He changed the way linebackers look at the defense and the opposing quarterback and their run scheme and everything like that. So again, I think Lawrence Taylor is definitely up there with all-time greats.
Well, that movie was based on him. Sorry, that movie Blindside was based on him because that made the left tackle so important.
With Sandra Bullock,
yeah, with Joe Theismann getting his leg snapped.
Yep,
that
Monday
made
night,
the left tackle. Yeah, Blindside.
Yep. I mean, even again, being a former coach, I can't even imagine what it would be like trying to game plan back then how to stop this guy. Because like Joey Clam said, put a fullback on him, put a tight end on him, put a tackle and a tight end on him. And he was just going through like he was like a paper bag. It was just
they tried to stop him. I think it was either in Houston or New Orleans. The night before, they sent two women to his house and got all liquored. I mean, to his room, his hotel room. They thought that was going to get him, slow him down. He wound up having a monster day against them.
Is that a true story?
100% true, yeah, because he even said it too. They sent two women to my room, liquor and all this. He says 5 in the morning. I sent them on their way. I got dressed and went to they thought it was going to slow me down. He wound up having a monster game. Interception, touchdown, a couple of sacks and everything.
That's pretty funny. He used to hang over here in Colts. That the name of the place used to be the Bench. And Joe, did you ever hear of it?
No.
On Route 20 there? Yeah, it was called the Bench. And they said every time he went in there, man, he told the bartender, give everybody in the joint what they want. I'm picking up the tab. The close up tonight, Joey Clams, I want your 4 top college teams as of today. Not in any particular order, but your 4 top college basketball teams.
Kentucky. I'm going to throw Texas Tech in there.
Okay.
Gonzaga.
Okay.
Another one. Give me Arizona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carson?
Yeah, I would go, I'd go Gonzaga, Purdue, Arizona, Auburn, and I'm going to throw Duke in there too.
I'm going to go Gonzaga, Auburn, Purdue, Arizona. That would be my top 4. Guys, I want to thank you for coming on and covering for Kurt tonight. It was a pleasure. I'm glad he let us do the show. So Joey,
I got a college basketball gambling story.
Oh, go ahead. We got time.
You got a minute?
Yeah, give me your story and give us your best bets too, Joey.
Oh, okay. In hockey tonight, the New York Rangers. Get them on the 3-way line. Get them in to win in 60 minutes regulation. It's minus 130. If you get them the other way to win outright, it was 190 in case they go into overtime. But they're going to win in regulation. They average like 3 to 4 goals a game, and the Red Wings are averaging 1 to 2 goals a game. And in the Big East, Creighton's my big bet tonight. And back in the day, in like 89, 90, college basketball, there was a lot of things going on. And we used to get, used to be games, say, like Wisconsin, Green Bay, NC Wellington, 5:30. The line will be 3. By 6 o'clock, the other side's favored by 3. It was a 6-point swing. There was funny things going on. So we're trying to bet the games, and we couldn't get down because everybody was getting the moves. But I had a guy, car service in Brooklyn. I'm not going to mention the car service's name. They're still there. They took action out of there, walk-in action, cash action. Over the phone, they took guys that they knew, small bets, but they were taking the line out of the Daily News, out of the newspaper that day. So they were sitting there with the same line because they're getting regular Joes coming in betting. So he says, "Oh, let me bet with you guys." He goes, "Well, you got to come in bet cash first. We're not going to let you bet over the phone until we see how you are. We're paying." So my friend, I sat by the payphone, and I used to have a beeper. He beat me. I call him back. He says, bet Cleveland State. They moved. So we go in there. We're beating these guys by 6 points, 3 points every night. First night we went 3-0. The next night 3-1. The next night 3-0. So Thursday I'm walking in there to collect the cash. Every day was cash up. He pulls out a gun. He says, "You get out of here. Don't ever come back." He was cursing. He says, "I'll put this bullet up your butt," whatever it was. He says, "You're betting me hot games and a movie." Yeah, that's Joey Clams. That's a gambling story.
Yeah,
That Chase.
give us your closing thoughts, Mr. Clams.
Closing thoughts is what? Be careful. Watch the lines. If you don't get the right line, a half a point, you see what happens. All my guys in the Joey Clams army, how many games came down a half a point the last couple of weeks? Watch and don't bet over your head. Watch the half a points. If you have to buy it, buy it. Don't lose a game by a half a point. If it's not the right order that I give out, then pass on the game. It's all about the number. It's not about the team. Good luck to pay the player.
Closing thoughts.
Again, I think we did a great job handling the show tonight, fellas. Good job, Joey. Good job, Sis. And like I said, love talking to you guys. And gamble responsibly and enjoy the games this weekend. And football season's over, but March Madness is right around the corner. One of my favorite times to be a sports fan. And have a great weekend.
Carson, give your show a plug.
Yeah, if you guys like gambling content, casino content, you can find me on Twitch. Just search up Ticket Time. We do broadcasts Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 8:30 Eastern time over there.
I want to thank Joey Clams for coming on. I want to thank Carson for coming on. You guys did a great job helping me out.
Thank you. You're always a gentleman and a scholar.
Thank you. I hope Kirk gets his heat working. I hope Kenny gets out of whatever he's got. And
you know what, Kenny's got the Rams minus 3.5, and he's running. Tied. He lost by the half a point. That's why he's not around. He grew a beard.
There you go. All right, take care, guys. We'll see you.
Enjoy your week and enjoy the sports.